is Aisha and today I am going to teach social science for class 10. We already started with your first chapter in history section, that is advent of Europeans to India. We already started with that chapter, right? We did 2 sessions. Now let's study about the third session of this chapter. So the next subtopic here is the British rule in India. I told you how one by one different people of different country had come to our country India. There were French people, there were British people, there were Dutch people, there were Portuguese people, but all of them were not successful. Okay, in the end the more successful people were who? The English people and the French people, and later on, because they both were more successful, Carnatic wars had taken place between the French and the English. And if you remember the last session, we talked about the Carnatic wars, Carnatic war 1, 2 and 3. In all the 3 wars the English people had won. Remember, the French people had lost. So English people became more and more powerful. English people are nobody but the British people. Okay, so now we're going to learn the British rule in India. Okay, how they were trying to rule. See, initially they were very powerful in the South India. Later on they wanted to become more and more powerful in the Bengal region. So let's see here. After gaining political control over South India, the British tried to gain control over the rich Bengal provinces. When in the 18th century, they already have South India now. Now they want to gain control over the Bengal region. Why they want to get control over the Bengal region? See here. The Bengal provinces had achieved tremendous growth. It had growth in what? It had growth in the areas of agriculture, commerce and industry. The Bengal area was doing very well during the 18th century. It had gained tremendous growth in different areas like agriculture. It was doing very well. In commerce, trading, it was doing very well. In industries also, sector, it was doing very well. There were many industries being set up in that area. That is why now British also wanted to gain control over the Bengal region. The East India Company was making considerable profits from these provinces. The Dastak issued by the Mughal ruler Farooq Siyar were the main reason for this. Now it's given here, the English people slowly started coming in Bengal and now they were making profit there. Who was making profit in Bengal? The East India Company has started to make profit in Bengal here. Okay, why? Because of this particular license called Dastak. Dastak was the license given by whom? By Farooq Siyar. It was given by Farooq Siyar. This Dastak was given by Farooq Siyar. So what is Dastak here? Very important word in your textbook. Dastak is a license which gives anyone to do trading without any tax. So pay attention here. A license that can ensure anyone to import and export without paying any tax. You can import, bring anything, you can send anything to other countries and you do not have to pay any tax for it. That was called Dastak. Also, you could do transportations of good anywhere without any tax. That time this was released, or this license was given by Farooq Siyar. Because of this license, this East India Company people, they were easily ruling over the India. Now whatever they are taking from India, they are taking from India to other countries. They did not have to give tax for that. Because of Dastak only, they did not have to give tax for it. If they are not giving tax, they are saving so much money, right? So what is happening? They are becoming more and more powerful there. So because of Dastak, the East India Company was becoming more and more successful in the Bengal region. This resulted in huge loss of the Bengal government. The government gets money from taxes only. The government gets money from taxes. If the taxes were not taken from people, how will the government do well? So this was a loss for the Bengal government. Hence, thus because of this reason, all the Nawabs, okay, all Nawabs from Murashid Ali Khan to Ali Vardi Khan, they opposed this misuse. Now there were this Nawab in the Bengal region, different Nawab in different areas. Nawab is what? The ruler of that place. Okay, these two particularly opposed this particular license. Who were these two people? Murashid Ali Khan and Ali Vardi Khan. These were the people who opposed this Dastak license. Because of this, Fight started taking place between the Nawabs and the British, the East India Company. The company and the Nawab started having a fight. The company said, we want this license to stay because it is very beneficial for them. But the Nawab, the people of Bengal, were saying, we do not want this license because it is proving as a loss for the Bengal government. So that is what the Nawab was saying, and whereas the British wanted this Dastak license to be there. So because of this, different wars started taking place. Two important wars that took place because of this reason are the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar. Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar. Okay, so let's learn about these two wars. We are going to learn it happened between who two people, which two group of people, also the reasons why it happened, and also next we are going to learn the outcome or what happened, what was the result of these wars. So Battle of Plassey. Okay, Ali Vardi Khan, who was the Nawab of Bengal, Ali Vardi Khan, remember, who had opposed the English East India Company, he was the Nawab of Bengal. He died in 1756. After his death, his grandson Siraj-ud-Dawla, he came to the throne, meaning he became the next ruler of that place, Siraj-ud-Dawla. Keep that in mind. Siraj-ud-Dawla was the grandson of Ali Vardi Khan. Okay. The Battle of Plassey took place between Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla and the British people in which year? In 1757. Very important. You have to remember when this battle took place. And between whom? It took place between Siraj-ud-Dawla, who was the grandson of Ali Vardi Khan, and it also took place between Siraj-ud-Dawla and British. Because of for what reason? Because of this Dastak. Okay, so what were the different reasons basically for which this fight took place? Let's know the three major reasons here. One is misuse of Dastak, this misuse of this. Okay, Siraj-ud-Dawla was furious that Dastak were misused by the official of the company, causing loss to the government treasury. It was misused by the company. Who is the company here? When the word company comes, you have to understand they are talking about East India Company. East India Company was a company by the British people. So British people were misusing this Dastak, and that is what Siraj-ud-Dawla had got to know. That was one major reason why he had called war against British, because he understood that this Dastak is causing loss to the Bengal government. Okay, second major reason here was mending of the fort without permission. Mending is repairing of the fort without permission. So which fort? The British repaired the fort of Calcutta. The fort of Calcutta, and they repaired the fort. Okay, fine. But after that, what they did? They placed cannons in that fort. Cannons are what? Through that they attack other people, right? They are like a weapon. The cannons were placed in the fort. That Siraj-ud-Dawla did not like. This further angered Siraj-ud-Dawla, and he ordered for the removal of the cannons from the fort. The British refused to do that. The British refused to remove the cannons which they had placed in the fort, and this further made the Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla more and more angry. This was the second reason. What was the second reason? They had kept cannons in the fort. Which fort? Fort of Calcutta. Okay. That Siraj-ud-Dawla did not like. Third major reason here was the tragedy. One tragedy had taken place. It was called the Black Room Tragedy or the Black Hole Tragedy. So what was this Black Hole Tragedy here? This is very interesting. Pay attention. Siraj-ud-Dawla conquered Fort William easily. Fort William is nothing but the fort of Calcutta we are talking about, where the cannons were placed. That is Fort William. So Siraj-ud-Dawla conquered Fort William and imprisoned Britishers. He captured and put Britishers behind the bars. He put them in jail, imprisoned, to put them in jail. He imprisoned Britishers. How many Britishers? He had imprisoned 146 Britishers. He had imprisoned 146 Britishers in a small room. And out of those 146, 123 Britishers had died in that room. 123 Britishers had died in the room itself. How many? Who had captured? Siraj-ud-Dawla had captured 146 Britishers in a room. Out of 146 Britishers, 123 Britishers had died. This angered Robert Clive a lot. Robert Clive, who was the governor that time, for the British. He got very angry, he got very furious. This tragedy, the whole thing is called Black Room or Black Hole tragedy. Okay, it can be asked separately as a question, what is a black room or black hole tragedy? You have to mention that British had conquered 146 people in a small room, and out of 146 people 123 had died. This is called the Black Room tragedy. So I told you Robert Clive got angry here. So what happened further? Robert Clive attracted rich locals, so rich people who were the local people who were doing trading. Robert Clive attracted them, you know, kind of took them in their favor, took them in his favor. Who were the rich locals here? Manik Chand, Omi Chand, Jagat Seth and others. He attracted them. He was successful in convincing Mir Jafar, the military leader of Siraj-ud-Dawla. Okay, who was the military leader of Siraj-ud-Dawla? Mir Jafar. See, pay attention. This is all linked to one another. It's like a story only. Okay, Siraj-ud-Dawla is killing people here. He's putting them in a room and killing them. Why will Robert Clive keep quiet? He got angry and now he's planning against Siraj-ud-Dawla. He wants to kill Siraj-ud-Dawla. So what is going to do for that? For that reason, Siraj-ud-Dawla's military was there, no? Military head was there. Who was the military head? Mir Jafar. So what this Robert Clive did, you know? He told Mir Jafar, he gave him money and he told him to remain neutral during war. Neutral meaning not to do not to harm the British army, or it's like unfair. You are working for Siraj-ud-Dawla. Your work is to kill the British army, but you're not going to kill the British army. Why? Because this Robert Clive had given him money. He asked him to stay neutral by offering him the post of Nawab of Bengal. He had given him money. Along with that, what else did he give him? He told him he will make Mir Jafar the Nawab of Bengal. Who was Mir Jafar? Military leader of Siraj-ud-Dawla. What Robert Clive is telling him, if you stay neutral in the war and you help me to win the war, if you help me to win the war, I will make you the next Nawab of Bengal. Obviously, Mir Jafar took that as an opportunity and he did what Robert Clive had said. Robert Clive declared war against Siraj-ud-Dawla in which year? 1757. Okay, everything went according to the plan of Robert Clive. Siraj-ud-Dawla, who was trying to escape, he was trying to run away from the war because he understood now we are going to lose. So he was trying to run away, but he was captured and killed by the military of Robert Clive. Okay, so finally this Siraj-ud-Dawla was killed by Robert Clive, and that was unfair. Okay, because he had taken the military leader Mir Jafar in his favor. That was unfair. So this was the entire war that took place. Now let's talk about the outcome of the war. What different things happened as a result of the war? Okay, first is this war brought out the immorality, lack of unity amongst the Indians and greed of Indian businessmen. Because of this war, you understand how immoral Indians were that time. Some Indians, obviously, immoral meaning what? You're not working on the right path. You're not doing the right thing. Okay, you're not playing a fair game. You're doing something that's not fair. So that thing, everyone got to know about Indians. Also, there was the unity in India, in Indians. The own military leader of Siraj-ud-Dawla had cheated him. There was no unity, right? That also people got to know. Also, they got to know about the greed of the Indian businessman. Okay, which Indian businessman? Those local businessmen who were in favor of Robert Clive. So this was the first point. Okay, immorality of Indians, lack of unity of Indians, and the greed of Indian businessmen. This came in front of the world. Second point, Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. As promised, the Robert Clive, he made Mir Jafar the Nawab of Bengal as he had promised. The company gained exclusive right to trade in Bengal. See, if the company's own person, Mir Jafar, is the Nawab of Bengal, obviously they will have more power, right? Their own person is the Nawab now. So they had more power to trade in Bengal. They did not have to pay any tax, nothing. Everything was free for them. Easily they were doing trading in Bengal. Therefore, they became more powerful in the Bengal region. Mir Jafar had to pay, okay, this is an interesting point, pay attention. Mir Jafar had to pay rupees 17 crores and 70 lakh to Siraj-ud-Dawla as war indemnity for the attack of Fort William. So what happened here? He was on behalf of Siraj-ud-Dawla, right? So Mir Jafar had to pay 70 crores and 70 lakh, which is a huge amount. We're talking about the 18th century. We're talking about 18th century. It was a huge amount that time. That much he had to pay because his own government. He is now the Nawab of Bengal. Initially somebody else was the Nawab of Bengal. Okay. That time that person had attacked St. William Fort. But now Mir Jafar is a Nawab, so he had to pay this money, okay, compensation money you can say, for attacking the St. William's Fort. So what is happening here? British are playing their own game. Now Mir Jafar only had to give the British money. How much money? 70 crores and 70 lakh. That was one great loss that Mir Jafar had to face. In short, if I tell you, Mir Jafar became the victim of the company. Okay, the company had done their trick on Mir Jafar. They had fooled him. Victim of the company and its employees. Even though the tragedy went bankrupt due to his greedy nature, the greediness of the company and its official was never satisfied. This because of the greediness, they took money from Mir Jafar, 70 crores, 70 lakhs. But still their greediness was not satisfied. They wanted more and more. The British removed Mir Jafar. They said Mir Jafar was not capable now. And they brought his nephew Mir Qasim. They made Mir Qasim the new Nawab now. Now what happens, you know? Now Mir Jafar is not giving them much help or much profit. So they will just remove him and they will put another person, Mir Qasim. Mir Qasim is now a new person. No, he is a new Nawab. He will do more things to please the British. He will do more things for the British. That's why they removed Mir Jafar and brought his nephew Mir Qasim. Okay, Mir Jafar was removed and Mir Qasim came into power. So this Mir Qasim, he was the person who fought against the British in the Battle of Buxar in 1764. So what is the Battle of Buxar here now? Let's learn that. Mir Qasim was an efficient administrator. He was very good. He was a very good administrator. He was running his territory very well. In the beginning he remained loyal to the company. In the beginning he was good to the company, but later on he realized he paid 2 lakh pounds to the company and gave away a few places to company. Okay, initially he was loyal to the company. He paid 2 lakh to the company and gave away some places also. Shortly afterwards, he declared himself the independent king. Independent king. He said, I do not want any help from the company. I am the independent king now. I am going to rule my territory on my own. After verifying the misuse of dastak, he declared the business was duty free in Bengal. So he understood the dastak thing, okay, that British were misusing it. Now he was not very in favor of the British, Mir Qasim. After some time, he had understood the real face of British. So what he did, he completely removed this dastak law. The dastak license, he completely removed it. So now what started happening? The local people of Bengal, they were doing great competition with the goods of the British people. The local people's good were doing good competition with the goods of the British people. Why will British people want this? Indians competed against the British in all spheres of business. As a result, the British trade suffered considerably. So British trade had suffered here. Why? Because Indian things were only doing so well in the market. Why will someone buy British goods? Because there was no tax now. Everything was duty free. That's why Indians were also having good profit there. They were doing very well against the British. This was enough for the British to oppose the Nawab. Now because this thing happened, the British started opposing the Nawab, going against the Nawab here. Okay, they brought in Mir Jafar again. See, they had removed Mir Jafar, saying that he is not capable, but now they want to remove Mir Qasim. So again they removed Mir Qasim and brought Mir Jafar only. You see the confusion that they are creating. They brought Mir Jafar again and removed Mir Qasim. Mir Qasim knew the cunningness of British. He knew how smart these Britishers are. He went for an organized war against the Britishers. That organized war that Mir Qasim fought against the Britishers is called the Battle of Buxar. Mir Qasim entered the agreement with the Mughal ruler Shah Alam II. So Shah Alam II and Suja-ud-Dawla. Suja-ud-Dawla, he was the Nawab of Awadh. These two people were in favor of the Mir Qasim. Together these three were fighting against the British people here. The combined force of Mir Qasim, these three people, faced the British army. See, three kings' army is facing the British army now. One is Mir Qasim himself, then there is Shah Alam II, and then there is Suja-ud-Dawla, not this person. This is Siraj-ud-Dawla, this is other one is Suja-ud-Dawla. Okay, Mir Qasim, but unfortunately Mir Qasim was defeated in this battle and he ran away from this battlefield fearing his life, otherwise he would be killed. So he ran away from this battlefield. Shah Alam II surrendered. The efforts of the combined forces to stop British failed miserably. Though it was a combined force trying to work against whom? Trying to fight against whom? Trying to fight against the British. But it had failed very badly. Okay, these three people also were not able to to fight well against the British people. So what was the outcome of the Battle of Buxar? We are talking about the Battle of Buxar here. What was the outcome of the Battle of Buxar? There are 4 outcomes. Pay attention. One is Shah Alam II accorded the Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. Now Bengal had this Diwani rights. Diwani rights are right to collect revenue. Diwani rights are, should I write it down? Diwani rights are nothing but the rights to collect revenue. Now that rights that the Bengal had initially, those rights were given to Britishers. By whom? By Shah Alam II. Why? Because he surrendered. He lost the war. Now he had to give something to the Britishers, right? Because he is losing the war. Obviously all his laws and all will be gone. Britishers will work according to their way. So Shah Alam II had to give the Diwani rights to British. That was the first outcome. Second, Shah Alam II gave away all the rights over the Bengal to the Britishers for an annual fee. So all the rights that Shah Alam II had over Bengal, he gave it to the British at one rate per year. So per year, how much they had to give? Annual fee. Annual meaning per year, the Britishers had to pay him rupees 26 lakhs only, which was very small because Bengal was making a good profit in those days. So it was like a loss for Shah Alam II. He had to give all the rights of Bengal to the Britishers at a very small annual fee, yearly fee of 26 lakh rupees. Okay, this was the second outcome of the Battle of Buxar. The third point here, the third outcome, the Nawab of Awadh. The Nawab of Awadh was who? Suja-ud-Dawla. Remember Suja-ud-Dawla? He had to pay fine because they had lost the war. The losing country had to pay fine and different things they had to give to the winning country. So the Nawab of Awadh had to pay fine of rupees 50 lakh for calling war against the company because he had participated in the war against the company. Now he has to pay a sum of rupees 50 lakh to the company. This was another outcome of the war, of the Battle of Buxar. So what was the fourth outcome here? With the death of Mir Jafar died now, in the war and everything. Mir Jafar had died. After his death, the company paid pension to his son and took over the entire administration of Bengal. Now British East India Company, what they did, Mir Jafar had died, so to his son they gave pension, meaning every month or every year so much amount of money he will get. Who will get? The son of Mir Jafar. But in return, they took all the rights that Mir Jafar had over Bengal. All the administration of Bengal was now in the hands of the British. So see how smart they are. One by one they are planning and plotting things, and one by one they are getting more and more power over all the different places in the country. First they were powerful in the south. Now after the two wars, the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar, they got more control over the Bengal region also. Okay, so let's see in small what happened here. The Battle of Buxar made the British the real holders of power. Real power they had, British had, in which different regions? Bihar, Bengal and Odisha provinces. In Bihar, Bengal and Odisha, now the Britishers had more power. Even Awadh remained under their control. Okay, the Nawab of Awadh had lost the war, so even Awadh was in their control now. In 1765, Robert Clive brought in dual government. As per this, the British had the right to collect land taxes, whereas the Nawab had power to, over administrative issues like justice and others. In this way, the British became more powerful. So, Robert Clive brought one more rule here, that was called the dual government. So, according to this, what Robert Clive is doing, he is dividing the whole work of in the territory, whatever work will be there, no, that is dividing. How is dividing now? Collection of taxes British will do. The laws and the justice, someone does something, some crime is happening, all this the Nawab will do. Okay, collection of taxes the British will do. So which is more important, collection of taxes, right? That is more important, that the Britishers will do. Whereas what will the Nawabs do? The Nawabs will only collect, or they will only do judgment, and they will only see that there is no crime going on. That was a very simple thing to do, right? The money related thing the British took for themselves. So in this way, the British got control over different parts of our country. One by one, they started getting control over different parts of our country. So in this lesson, you learn about how first of all people found the sea route to come to India. Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese, who found sea route to come to India. Then after him, one by one, everyone started coming. The Dutch came, the Portuguese, Vasco da Gama was Portuguese. After him, Dutch came, and everyone. So with this, we end up the chapter. Thank you, class.